in the future. You asked about the amendment of the Constitution. Within the party, there are 4 items that we narrowed down. We have the broader view of the constitutional amendment. We made decisions within the LDP. Unfortunately, among the public, the opinions are not really ready to discuss that. We cannot move forward without the public being ready. That is what we have been feeling. Among the Diet members, there should be candid discussions. Otherwise, we cannot expect the Japanese people to start the discussions. So as a Diet member, the responsibility should be met. So that's what I will be doing as a Diet member.
This is Ishigaki from Jiji. In your first government, Prime Minister, you took a blame then when you resigned your as Prime Minister for the first time. But I think you had a regret in what has happened. Do you believe that in this second resignation, then do you think that you can step down and then avoiding the blame from the public? That you have given up your responsibility? I know that there are divided opinions about what I've announced because I'm going to retire in the midst of my term. But this time, the government has come up with a package of countermeasures against COVID-19 so that there'll be no vacancy of a queue in countermeasures. The COVID-19 infections are waning right now. Then from the autumn to the winter, the seasonal flu is likely to happen, but we have a set of countermeasures against the flu as well. The last time, then I reshuffled the cabinet, then we summoned the Diet, then I resigned, and after I made an inauguration, my speech in the Diet, but I had to make a judgment before that session begins this time. I had anxiety about that. I wondered whether I should resign or not at this juncture. I had a feeling that I can serve as Prime Minister more, but I made a judgment that I shouldn't make any mistake as the Prime Minister of Japan.
Kunisada from Kyoto newspaper. Let me ask about the question from the local perspective. Regional revitalization and avoiding the concentration in Tokyo, that has been your focus from the perspective from the local areas. Local areas had a high expectation. The cultural agency transfer to Kyoto was decided. However, we haven't seen the significant, I would say, paradigm shift. So how do you see your achievement regarding the regional revitalization? As you said, we haven't achieved the paradigm shift. We are not there yet. There was a trend, the population was concentrated in Tokyo. For economic recovery under this administration, yes, the population inflow is increasing. However, the pace of the increase is slowing down, and people going to local areas from Tokyo. There are more people who want to do that. Those people who are 60 years old or older wanted to do that. After they retired, after when they live based on their pension, they want to move out from the Tokyo. However, now the working population want to move out from Tokyo to regional areas. It means that more people think local areas are promising in terms of the paradigm shift. Well, we have to avoid 3Cs. Among the situation, more people are working from home, working remotely. So I think more people are realizing the attractiveness of the local areas. And young people, people in 20s, want to work in local areas. Those desire is growing based on some research across Japan. What would be the best shape for the nation? This coronavirus could change that dramatically. After COVID-19 era, we have to be forward-looking. We have started the discussion in a council for investment in the future. We want to really utilize those shifts that we are observing.
Mr. Shitakubo, please. This is Shitakubo from Chugoku Shimbun. I thank you for your long-term service to Japan. I was asked, I have a question. You visited, you mentioned President Obama's visit to the Hiroshima legacy. This year is the 75th anniversary of the end of the war. Then the people in Japan appreciate the importance of peace. Then you have seen the victims of the nuclear bombing or hibakusha. You have listened to what the family members had to say. Then what's your impression on this? In your term, then you divided the people's opinions, such as the legislation for peace and security. Please let me know how you have faced up to the issues of peace. For next administration, the abandonment of nuclear weapons, then what is your responsibility to your next government when it comes to the nuclear weapons, the abandonment, the elimination of the nuclear weapons is my strong idea, and it is consistent, the policy of the Japanese government. I believe that mission will be passed on to the next government. You mentioned the issues of peace. Quite regrettably, in various regions of the world, the wars and battles are taking place involving a lot of people, including children, somewhere in the world. We have to stamp out those facts and incidents. The world must get together to create peace, and that is what we have to do. We have to do our utmost to maintain peace in the world at the same time. But simultaneously, close to Japan, some countries are involved in nuclear development. North Korea is developing ballistic missiles that can reach Japan. We really have to protect Japan from those nations. It is for that purpose the alliance between Japan and the US exists. By beefing up the alliance between the two nations, then countries will not be willing to attack Japan. That serve as the deterrence to discourage other nations to attack Japan. Deterrence is not to start a war, but that is to prevent a war. On the abolishment of the nuclear weapons, Japan has been serving as a bridge between nuclear powers and non-nuclear powers. Japan is the only nation that suffers nuclear attack. Then we have to try very hard to eliminate all the nuclear weapons in the world.
Oita from Mainichi newspaper. You said this Monday you went through the health checkup and then you decided to step down as the prime minister. And so from Monday to Friday, specifically, when did you make a decision? As you made one, did you consult with anyone about this matter? On Monday, I made a decision. We will be entering autumn and winter, and we have to have countermeasures against the COVID-19. We have to put together the policy to fight against the virus, and we have to have more visibility. And that turned out to be today. You asked, I talked to anyone? I made my own decision without consulting with anyone.
So we have questions from the reporters assigned to the Prime Minister's office. I'd like to take questions from other reporters. This is Shoko Egawa. I'm a freelancer. The database collecting information of COVID-19, the types of professions and the data of infection, that information was not collected in the system. I believe the data is quite important to take countermeasures. This is not the only issue. The 100,000 yen cash handouts. The applications were accepted online, but the local government employees did some manual work to deal with applications. Under the COVID-19, it became clear that Japan is very behind other nations in terms of information technology. In 2013, Abe administration made a new IT strategy. By 2020, the establishment, the IT utilization society, the best in the world, was a target. Then the Prime Minister Abe made a declaration that Japan shouldn't follow other nations. It's obvious that Japan is following other nations in terms of information technology. I believe that you are quite discontent with what is the case. But what is the reason for Japan is lagging behind other nations in IT? Your successor? Do you have any points to? Do you have any expectations? Do you have any message to successor in that area? Ms. Egawa has pointed out just now Japan's situation over information technology is not without its issues and challenges. Those are points where we have to improve. There are lots of different challenges lying ahead of us. For government, the systems are different from ministries to ministries, and local governments have different information systems as well. That's a challenge to be done. We have a clarity on those issues and challenges. Then we'd like to solve all of those issues at one stroke. You asked a question on the protection of personal information. The responses to the protection of personal information are different from municipalities to municipalities. That's another challenge indeed. We really have to, I think we have shared the sense of issues and challenges that we have to go over those matters. I'm going to resign quite shortly, but I believe the next leader will strive on those matters. But as long as I'm Prime Minister of Japan, then I will continue to work on those issues.
Takenaka from Reuters. Let me ask about the next president. You let the party senior positions to make a decision. Let me ask a question still. There should be no vacuum in the political world, and I don't think there is the specific timeline, but you have some remaining period. So what is the broader timeline about the decision for the successor? Up until we know the next president of LDP, how long it will take? Executive office of LDP is considering the point. And in terms of my health condition, I'm confident that I'm confident up until that point, for sure. Maybe not for it does not take a long time. I think we have enough time for the political discussions. I refrain from commenting about details.
じゃあ数問に
We have only questions to be asked. Thank you. This is Jimbo from the video. There was a question that I'd like to ask you while you are Prime Minister of Japan. Let me ask you a question. The Abe administration, compared with governments in the past, have complete measures for the media. I think that's what I think. For example, to specific media, you were interviewed by specific media without going around various media companies, and you collect a list of questions. Then you allow the reporters presenting questions to ask you questions at a press meeting. I don't think that's a bad thing, but is it your instruction? And working level, the agreements, then the practice was a case before without your knowledge. Let's suppose that you had a knowledge. You had no knowledge, but do you have questions and answers in front of you, even though this was a place and for reporters to ask you questions? Do you think that it's kind of strange? But in the relationship between the media and the public, and what's your view on this? Abe administration took questions from coordinating reporters. It's not the practice for Abe administration. I believe that the government in the past did the same practice. I don't think it's something specific to Abe administration. Please listen to what Prime Minister Abe has to say. For questions from coordinators or coordinating press companies, it's a practice for the government to take questions from coordinators ahead of others. That was the case for the government in the past. Statements given by Prime Minister should be accurate. Whatever the questions are asked, then we have responses based on assumption that some questions will be asked. Today, I'm listening to your questions. Those are not the questions presented to Prime Minister's office before this press meeting. How I selected the media interviewing me, then I think the judgment from time to time in the government, it's up to a judgment of each person whether the practice is good or not.
結ばしてもらいます。
Kawaguchi from Nishi Nippon newspaper. You became the longest serving prime minister. You made a lot of achievements. However, you had an issue with the Moritomo Kake and cherry blossom viewing party. You took a lot of criticism from the public when it comes to countermeasures against the coronavirus. I believe you felt the criticism by the people of Japan. So some people say you made administration your personal item. Do you think people misunderstood that? What is your personal opinion about that? In hindsight, do you think you could have something differently? So no one should make administration as a personal item. I haven't done that. Let me make myself clear. I made all-out effort for the nation and the people of Japan. However, there has been a criticism, and we gave an explanation. And there are some lessons we should be learning about how we gave explanation. If it was misunderstood, we have to learn from that. But I never made administration the personal item of mine.
So let me take a final question. This is Okutsu from Hochi. Can I ask a question about the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games? After COVID-19 became rampant in Japan, you showed your strong intention to have those events, but you're going to design this time. I wonder if your designation has impact on the event, and if the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games are held next year, but you cannot have those events as Prime Minister of Japan, then what's your feeling on this? We have to create an environment where all the athletes in the world can compete in their best conditions, and we have to provide a safe and secure the games to the audience. We are working in tandem with the IOC and the Tokyo government. A roadmap was decided the other day on the Olympic Games that based on roadmap, then we're going to make arrangements to fulfill as the responsibility of the Olympic host nation. That's what I think. Then of course, my successor will act likewise. For us to make it happen, there are many things that we have to do, I believe.
So this concludes today's press conference. Thank you for your support and understanding. Thank you.